Hello, welcome to GCTC TV. I'm Eric Coates, the Artistic Director of the Great Canadian Theatre Company. Today, I'm welcoming you to something new we're trying, profiles of artists who really make a difference around Ottawa. Last month, you would have, in a parallel universe, seen a play called Unholy by Diane Flax, and one of the principal performers in that show is no stranger to GCTC audiences. Her name is Kristina Watt. She's joining me today. If you didn't see her on stage at GCTC last month, you might have seen, and of course I'm talking about a parallel universe, you might have seen her working around town with her young students from 100 Watt Productions. You might have seen her coming out of a lecture hall at U of O where she is an instructor. You might have seen her doing any number of things around town in her with her typical savoir-faire and ebullient nature. Please welcome Kristina Watt to GCTC TV.
Thank you for having me and to test drive this proposal. Thank you very much, and thank you for viewing, everyone. Yeah,
it's great to see you. We're looking at a photo of Kristina Watt from a couple of years ago, looking extremely happy. Can you tell us what's happening in that picture?
In that picture, I was actually the first award of the first ever Ottawa Prix Rideau Awards, which are the Ottawa Theatre Awards, Professional Theatre Awards. I was awarded for my performance in Carol Churchill's Top Girls, and I remember being not expecting it, and then all of a sudden up there and didn't know what to say, and I think basically the essence of my speech was, I love what I do, and thank you. And then I just babbled. I was born in Scotland, in a castle, truly. There was literally no room at the inn, the maternity ward, and they opened up a castle. And that's where I was born, in case you add to my status of princess. But my mother is Colombian. So my mother and all my family, 8 brothers and sisters she had, are from Colombia, South America. My father also Scottish, and then he was posted in Canada. And I ended up coming to school and doing a lot of my life in Canada while going back to Colombia very regularly for months at a time. 12 is a project over the last couple of years that came about when I got together with 10 young people in a room, all between 13 and 15. Started literally just, they had auditioned for it, and it just started with, who are you, what's driving you, what's on your mind, what's in your heart, what are you worried about? And the dominant voice, and this was around 2018, was this duality between their concerns for the future and their relationship to the planet, and their feeling that a lot of the responsibility is on them to fix it because it is their future, and being caught in the middle of that. So 12, and then 12 at the same time, the United Nations made their declaration that there was a window of 12 years to keep the temperature between 1.5 degrees in terms of carbon emissions. Because one of the things in the show that has been very strong in me, and and they're very much on board with it, let's say it that way, is that it's not a rant, it's not casting blame, it's actually a plea for some kind of conversation, which I think at the essence theater can be. It's built on compassion. In the piece, they are questioning themselves, and the bigger question that they're still asking, I still meet with them through a screen, about what does it mean to take action? And what does it mean to act? And is it enough to post something? Is it enough to, what is it really? And when is the urgency to act? And how do we act now in a world where human beings, by virtue of this virus, have had to withdraw? So they're questioning, and we're questioning together, what is our voice? So is it about creating or jamming it into a piece of digital theater, or how do we act right now? And they're in the middle of questioning that as well. And I think that's a bigger question that maybe we all need to listen to and question. So.
One of the things that has really, really captured my heart during this pandemic is watching one of the actions that you've been taking almost daily, posting the very short verses on Facebook that I believe you're calling them the COVID poems.
The short Corona verses.
The short Corona verses.
Yeah, they're very short. That's okay.
They're very short. They're very short, but they're imbued with incredible depth of feeling and great wit, and sometimes it's wordplay, sometimes it's a play on what the reader might be seeing in their own world at the same moment. Tell me a little bit about the impulse behind those.
The impulse was not planned, so there we go. It's a true impulse, and consistently so. I'm still writing them. They have all only happened when I walk. So it started a day where I just took a walk, and daily these walks, I don't know if we all feel it, but are a bit of a lifeline, especially with the explosion of spring. And while I would walk, these moments would come to me. So they're not, as you notice, they're very, very, very short. And it would be a moment. It might come from someone's behavior. It might come from the movement of the litter on the ground, where I said, one of them talks about only the litter can loiter. Or it could be something about an animal, or something in walking that maybe is the exchange between what I'm feeling and maybe sensing another feeling outside of me. And whatever papers I would have in my pocket, including a receipt or anything, I would just write it down. The fewest words, not trying to be smart or clever. How do we just nail this and walk away?
Back to the beginning of this conversation, we were looking at a photograph of you in years when your career in Ottawa was really starting to take off, and you were at the first Prix Rideau Awards. What if you could travel back in time and have a conversation with you at that age, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't seek for it to be comfortable, because that's not, well, and I feel that everywhere. It doesn't have to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be easy. But I don't mean suffering. I mean, there's something about the discomfort that tolerated. It shouldn't be hurtful or unbearable, but don't keep trying to seek comfort. And I think that for audiences, I think that for artists, and I remind that to myself, find the moments of comfort. But part of why you love doing it, Kristina, is actually being on that edge of, it's a little bit out of grasp. Tolerate the discomfort. Well,
I want to thank you. This has been really, really lovely to connect with you, and I know that this amount of screen time comes at no little cost
to anyone.
So I'm very grateful. So on behalf of everybody at GCTC and everyone who's watching this live stream, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And really look forward to seeing you and having this conversation in person.